The following program contains graphic images. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, so it's Friday, and we're out fishing in Howe Bay, and we're going to get big fish. I'm going to go find them all. Where are you guys? I feel like I've had a bottle of champagne. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. It's incredible. Okay, have you got something? I think I've got something. What? Have you? Yeah. An old bait, a bait. Yeah.
This is a big one.
Deep-sea fishing on a charter vessel turned into terror on the high seas off the coast of Cape Town.
Our feeling at this time is that a whale breached and inadvertently took the boat down. The operator put the vessel into close proximity of mating whales.
Following the incident, a search and recovery effort was launched. Initially, it was believed that the only creature large enough to down the fishing vessel would be a whale breaching over the top of the boat. But the wreckage suggested otherwise. What the South African officials discovered was unexpected. It appeared the boat was not capsized by a whale, as believed. Footage from a recovered camera further suggests the boat was downed by something other than a whale. Now, South African officials have brought in an expert to determine what could have killed the people on that boat.
This is a big one.
I'm a marine biologist with a focus on sharks. I often get called in when strange events have happened in the ocean, even when that event's very hard to describe. The long story short of it is, I'm usually the first guy to get called when something strange is happening out in the seas. The impact of the vessel is massive. It's much more substantial than I thought it would be, which is why they called me in as quickly as they did. You see, whales, in the rare instances they have collided with boats, end up reaching on top of the boat. But after looking at the search and recovery footage, it's clear the vessel was rammed from underneath.
So this wasn't a whale?
No, absolutely not. Working with the audio from the camera recovered in the wreckage, you can hear the panic in their voices. It sounds to me like whatever did attack their boat did so intentionally, which is further evidence this was no whale. And when the audio is cleaned up, what you hear is chilling.
Could it have been a great white?
Not your typical great white, no.
Then what is it?
I think that whatever did this is a very large predator, maybe even larger than anything we've ever seen in our lifetime before.
Over a one-month period in April of 2013, Discovery Channel cameras had exclusive access to Colin Drake and his team. What starts as an investigation
We're desperately searching any and all incidents around the world.
becomes Drake's hunt for a monster,
Then this is the biggest predator in the ocean.
And we're gonna go get it.
setting the world's largest trap
This is going to be the biggest chump slick ever made.
for the ocean's largest predator.
That thing has been right below us the whole time.
Get over here! No!
Events captured on tape are being shown on television
The hell is Mike?
for the first time.
What is your objective?
The South African officials are extremely concerned about public safety. My goal in this investigation is simple. I need to determine exactly what it was that downed that fishing vessel, but also prevent another attack from occurring. There's a deadly predator in these waters, and I have to find it before it kills again.
Between April and September, the waters off Cape Town become home to the greatest concentration of great white sharks in the world. They are drawn here to eat.
As many as 98 species of sharks can be found here. You've got great whites, you've got whale sharks, spotted ragged-tooths, tiger sharks, and the fabled submarine. Submarine is a 30-foot-plus great white that the locals say has been swimming in these waters for over 70 years now.
To date, the largest great white ever recorded measured 23 feet long. But for years, there have been accounts of a giant great white shark known as submarine, nicknamed for its size. If the shark is real, then it would be the largest great white shark in the world today. Submarine could be over 30 feet long and weigh over a ton more than the average great white shark, making it freakishly large and likely the most lethal creature in the oceans.
It's a constant part of the conversation here, and it's most frequently spotted this time of year.
It was about 3 years ago. I had gone out on a night surf session with a friend of mine, and he brought out his jet ski in. It was about twilight. It's not the safest time to be in the water, but around that time the waves are really amazing. I remember I'd gone out pretty far, and that's when I saw the fin. I saw it start coming towards me. This thing was like 3 times the size of this jet ski. Somehow, I guess, the engine managed to scare it off. As he pulled away, I felt my leg go with him. And it was that point that I realized that my leg was gone. I'd always heard all these stories about this big thing that's in the water, you know, ever since I started surfing. And everybody was like, submarine, it's submarine. And I never really paid attention to any of that. I was really lucky that I had somebody else there, and I was very lucky that he was able to respond and come out to me.
It was the spring of 2007, and we were out in False Bay fishing for yellowfin tuna in a 32-foot boat. There'd been yellowfin around all day. Suddenly the fish just sounded, disappeared. So we did what we always do. Put a chum in the water, munch sardine and a bit of blood, bring them back up on the bite. The biggest white shark I'd ever seen in my life appeared next to the boat. Matched us in size easily. You know, I'd heard these stories about a huge white shark they call a submarine in False Bay. But honestly, I never believed them. Bloody shark followed us, right behind the boat. We didn't know what the hell she wanted to do, so we just increased speed and got the hell out of there.
Has submarine returned to these waters? And is it responsible for the boat attack? That's what Drake's here to find out.
I've been going out to sea virtually all my life, and from time to time we see this huge big shark. It's been sighted by many different people, swimmers in the water, surfers, spotters on the shore, and myself. I'm going to take you guys out, and hopefully we can find him.
Brian McFarlane is a veteran of Shark Alley. He's a respected shark conservationist, and he's run the most successful shark cage diving business in Cape Town for well over 20 years now. This makes him an invaluable resource.
The majority of submarine sightings have been within highly populated areas along the coast. This includes Hout Bay, where the fishing boat went down. Some of South Africa's largest sharks can be found here. Knowing how crucial it is to have eyes in the water, Drake has devised a plan to capture evidence that submarine has returned to the area.
It's an IP-based integration system, and it allows us to, with live footage feed, monitor the bottom of the ocean. So when you take us out and out to submarines hot, we're going to lower the camera down and put it on the floor, and 24/7 be able to follow his movements and kind of track and see what he's up to.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very clever technology, and we've got full control over it here. So pan, tilt, zoom, and 24/7. So
Yeah. Accompanying us on the trip out to the submarine area is Mike Bonner. This guy's a real McCoy. He knows sharks. How far are we, Mike? Are we ready to go? Can we load up?
Let's load it up.
Mike has spent his entire career filming and tagging all types of sharks all over the world. So he's an expert in underwater photography, and he's not afraid to put himself in dangerous situations. I've added him to the team to help us capture footage or any evidence of the creature that's hunting in these waters.
Drake and his team need to find out if submarine is in these waters and study it to see if it's capable of inflicting this much damage. Diving in Shark Alley is highly dangerous.
Assuming the submarine is real, any great white that gets to this size is going to be a wily beast. There's a number of behavioural traits that we have to really watch out for if we do get close. If the shark is in an aggressive mode, its pectoral fins will drop down. We'll see other things like tail slapping. The dropped pec fins is really the one we have to be careful of and watch for.
Here we are on the hot spot, guys. This is where I've seen the most sightings of all the sharks in this area over the years I've been working with them. We're right next to a seal colony. The seals coming and going here, they get eaten by the shark. Okay, you're going to go in the water, you're going to be a seal. So don't spend any time on the surface. Look around, go straight to the bottom.
Okay, so when we do get it on the bottom, we'll lower it down, we'll untie it straight away. When the ropes come up, you guys can make sure you're looking out while we position it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a gear on.
All right, buddy. The purpose of the dive is locking down cameras on the ocean floor. I'm hoping for any way to identify the predator in these waters. And cameras like these are used all throughout the world's oceans. The camera gives us a 360-degree view down at the bottom. They're also placing the ocean floor-based sonar that I helped develop. We're calling it our submarine finder. And it works kind of like a fish finder. It'll alert us to anything within a half-a-mile radius that's 20 feet or more in size. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell us what that creature is. If it's a shark, over 20 feet would be massive. Now, there's no cage. I want them to get down there, place the camera in the sonar, and then get the hell out of there as quick as they can. Because what we're looking for took down a fishing vessel not much bigger than ours, and that was only a couple days ago.
Wait, can you actually see what they're doing down there?
Yeah, I can. It's getting a little bit cloudy.
Bubbly with the rocks and things moving.
Yeah, just a little. There's a lot of movement on the bottom of the ocean floor.
We're at the bottom. The visibility's really good down here.
Given the high-risk factor of diving with no cage, in this area, in the presence of seals, the primary food source of the great white, Drake keeps a close eye on the sonar, which will alert him to any large sea life that might enter the area. Meanwhile, Mike's given himself a 10-minute window to get down there, attach this camera, and get out.
Mike, how you doing down there, man?
You see anything? Everything all right?
Yeah, we're getting a little tangled up in the ropes down here, though.
Copy that. Just keep alert. Stay sharp.
Mike and his dive partner have hit a snag. The underwater camera's cables have become entangled, resulting in them staying below longer than intended. The sonar is showing a large creature in the immediate area.
Something's not right. The fish are gone, the seals are gone.
All of the other sea life, including the seals, seem to have suddenly left the area.
Mike, I got a lot of murk, but I got a big shape that kind of just moved quite quickly past camera. Can you see anything? Mike, can you hear me down there?
Drake has now lost audio contact with Mike.
You see anything down there?
I see nothing, it looks a bit murky.
Mike, we've got zero kind of visibility on the camera. We can't see what's going on. Is everything all right down there?
With no communication, bad visibility, and something big in the water, Drake fears for his diver's safety.
Mike, I see nothing. Mike, come in, Mike.
Just 8 days ago, a charter fishing boat was destroyed off the coast of South Africa.
What the hell was that?
There were no survivors. Now marine biologist Colin Drake and a team of shark experts are in the process of planting an underwater camera and sonar in hopes of capturing footage of the unknown predator that attacked the fishing boat.
You see anything down there?
I see nothing, it looks a bit murky.
Mike, come in, Mike.
Something's not right.
Drake lost visual contact and all audio communication with Mike.
Mike, can you hear me down there? Mike, come in, Mike. The hell's he not answering me?
radio malfunction caused Mike Bana to lose contact with the boat. However, the sonar was working properly, which means Mike and his scuba partner were not alone in the water.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
You
good.
all right? Okay. All right, have you gun? You see anything down there?
First of all, the seals just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then there was a moment there, I turned to you and I thought I saw something go past you. And then something definitely went past.
The guys were in a bit of a cloud there for a moment, and unfortunately they couldn't quite make out what was down there.
We've managed to place the camera on the seafloor precisely where we wanted. This is an area where we know that submarine has been sighted in the past, so hopefully we get some good data.
The underwater camera has been recording for 12 hours. While Drake and his team have monitored a large number of great white sharks, there has been no additional sighting of a shark topping 30 feet.
Because of a sonar hit of a giant creature just offshore yesterday, I know I have limited time to find this predator before it harms anyone else. So now I'm going to try a more enticing tactic.
Drake and his team are heading back out to Seal Island to confirm whether the creature on the sonar was submarine or something else, using a seal decoy as bait.
So here we are, around the seal island, at the right spot, at the right time. Plan B is a decoy seal. So we're going to put this in the water, tow it around behind the boat, and hopefully we'll get him coming up to investigate. Sharks cannot resist the temptation of attacking or eating a seal.
All right, let's do this, Brian. Yeah.
The team has to be patient because sharks don't eat at a particular time of day.
Captain, will you please turn about 90 degrees to the port side? That's where the hot spot is.
There's seagulls hovering around now.
Yes.
Do you normally get that happy?
Yes, that we definitely see.
After almost 2 hours of towing the decoy comes the signal they've been waiting for.
They're not fooled by the seal decoy. They just know something's up.
They know something's happening.
The presence of seagulls overhead signals that they sense a feeding opportunity.
You know what? I'll tell you something which is quite unique as well. They got a chirp, chirp sound. That chirp, chirp, chirp. That's a warning system. You hear that sound?
Yeah.
You hear that?
Yeah.
A different sound. Something's going to happen, guys. Which kind of thing? The high pitch. A shark. Something's going to happen. Stand by, guys. Anything's going to happen anytime. Working in unison together.
Right.
They definitely are anticipating something is going to happen anytime.
Did you see it? 3 meters, about 3 meters.
4 easy. 4 easy, right?
4.5.
I'm going to go with him on the big one.
Beautiful.
I'm with you, Brian.
The shark that took the seal decoy was a great white. But whatever that massive shape was on the sonar, the team wasn't able to draw it up with the seal as bait. And maybe that's because submarine is nowhere to be found. The team didn't capture any further evidence of the predator. But the following morning, someone else did. A witness saw something she couldn't believe, and it's about to change the entire investigation.
So what is it you saw out there?
When I first saw it, I thought it was just a whale surfacing, but, we see that all the time. It's not unusual. But then there was a commotion in the water, and it was as if the whale was being attacked or something. It was thrashing around a lot. I thought maybe it was orcas attacking it. I grabbed my camera and I took a picture of it. But then it stopped moving and it disappeared under the water. I radioed the beach and they sounded the alarm and everyone got out of the water. When we were sure that whatever it was gone, then we gave the all clear. When I looked at the picture, I couldn't believe it because orcas don't have fins shaped like this. Theirs are very distinctly different. And I've seen great whites in this water. I mean, they've never had a dorsal fin this big from this far away. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm estimating that dorsal fin to be 5 to 6 feet above the surface. The frothy disturbance in the water shows that the predator is attacking the whale, which appears to be 40 to 50 feet from the predator's dorsal fin. The size of that fin tells us what's underneath is bigger than anything we've considered. Now I know we're not looking for submarine. We're looking for something much bigger because it took down that boat.
Drake confirms this with an eerily similar historic photo.
A U-boat crew from 70 plus years ago may very well have had a run-in with the exact shark that we're looking for right now.
During World War II, after France had fallen to Germany, the Nazi U-boat fleet gained access to several French ports, enabling them to operate in the eastern Atlantic. Of particular interest to them was the Cape route. U-boats were sent there to disrupt Allied vessels trying to sail around the continent. This photograph is from uncovered Nazi files, its existence only recently coming to light. The picture was taken just off Cape Town.
It's absolutely incredible. You take a look at that picture and you measure the distance from the dorsal fin to the tail fin and then compare that to the U-boat that's in the foreground. That's your scale. We're talking about a giant shark. That thing is enormous. If the shark that's in the Nazi U-boat photo is in fact the same shark that's in the shark eye photo that was taken just after the boat attack, then that means there's been a 50-ton monster in these waters for over 70 years.
And Drake is running out of time to find it. Are Drake's calculations correct? Could there be a monster creature in these waters deadlier than any known shark? A shark big enough to take down a boat. A shark big enough to take down a whale. Colin Drake was looking for a monster, and he knew it.
It's gone quiet around here, and I'm wondering if we maybe haven't missed a window here. Sharks are migratory, so it's entirely possible that whatever attacked the boat and the whale has migrated. And we're desperately searching any and all incidents and sightings around the world that might be in any way similar to what's been happening here in South Africa. Has any other fishing boat gone down? Has any other whale suffered a brutal attack? And that's when we came across some footage that was shot in Hawaii. Now, it wasn't recently, it was about 4 years ago, but it definitely caught our attention. The video was shot by a father and a son who had come across a whale that had suffered a brutal attack.
What is that? Look at that. What is that?
Now, the original footage was kind of hard to make out, but after studying it and the amateur photos taken from the beach, you can clearly see a bite radius in the whale, and the bite radius is striking. From the vantage point of the kid's camera, the whale looks to be almost bitten in half. It's absolutely insane. Local marine biologists analyzed the whale and determined, as crazy as it sounds, that the tail was bitten off in one bite. Now, this is significant because the biting off of a tail is a specific trait of only a few underwater predators, the mako shark being one of them. But there's only one underwater predator that would be able to bite the tail off of a whale this size, like has been done here.
Megalodon, the serial killer of the seas, was a vicious 100-foot, 80-ton shark that first hunted our oceans around 17 million years ago, eating anything and everything in its path with extreme prejudice. Sporting 6 rows of 46 teeth, Megalodon's mouth is one of nature's most deadly creations.
This is a fossilized tooth from a great white shark. Compare that with this tooth of Megalodon.
Imagine the pain Megalodon's jaws inflicted on its prey. In less than a second, the feeling of 276 serrated teeth, each 7 inches in length, would pierce its flesh with over 35,000 pounds of force, enough to crush a whale's skull. Before its prey knew it was being attacked, it was dead. Today, the consensus amongst the scientific community is that Megalodon is no longer alive, that it went extinct over 2 million years ago. However, detailed accounts of sightings suggest otherwise. Polynesian fishermen have long spoken of a man-eating 100-foot shark they referred to as the Lord of the Deep. While off the coast of Indonesia, locals believe a family of 75-foot sharks rule the sea. And in Mexico, reports of a 60-foot shark they call El Diablo Negro, the Black Demon, reportedly have attacked fishing vessels there. These sightings around the world lend support to the idea of Megalodon hunting in our oceans today. However, despite the large volume of reported sightings, the scientific community continues to disavow Megalodon's existence. Despite the evidence, it's an opinion shared by Mike Bana. It has become a bone of contention among the team.
Look, I know where Drake's going with this, and while I respect him as a scientist and I've worked with him a lot, I'm not on board with that at all. I think what we're looking at here is a number of bites that look like a single bite, and that's resulted in the tail of the whale coming off. I'm still definitely thinking great white here.
There's only one underwater predator that has ever existed that this could possibly be. I'm thinking it's Megalodon, and this thing is a monster.
Mike and Drake have found evidence that suggests a massive predator has been attacking boats and whales. Drake believes Megalodon, a prehistoric shark that may have reached 100 feet in length and weighed more than 80 tons, is to blame. Is the bite damage to the whale filmed in Hawaii the work of a predator that's supposed to have died out 2 million years ago? Or was it something else?
When Megalodon attacked the whale, it certainly could attack the tail, and the advantage of that is that not only does it remove the tail so the prey can't get away, but there's a large artery there where they would bleed out very quickly.
If Megalodon is alive today, this massive predator would have to feed on something big enough to satisfy it. Its monstrous size, up to 100 feet and 80 tons, was as big as a jumbo jet.
But clearly Megalodon was feeding on whales that were essentially modern-sized whales.
This voracious beast ate 2,500 pounds of food a day. That's the equivalent of eating a full-sized minivan, and it did so more efficiently than any predator in history. It's believed that Megalodon attacked whales in the same way modern-day great whites attack seals today, but with a far more gruesome aftermath. Megalodon would shoot up from the deep with the brute force of a freight train, incapacitating its prey with one hit and then going in for the kill with another. Being attacked by a Megalodon would be like a railroad car with a mouthful of butcher knives bearing down on you. If Megalodon is in fact alive today, Drake and his team are up against a dangerous ocean monster.
When it comes to the question as to how ruthless Megalodon was, let's just say that it probably showed no compassion. Right? These are animals that are bent on killing because that's how they survive. They're just out to kill and consume. That's what they did, and they seemingly did it very well.
Megalodon's brutality was only one of its unsuspecting victims' problems. Millions of years of evolution allowed it to adapt into the perfect hunting machine. Blending with its environment, its skin was darker colored on the top and lighter on the bottom. If you were above Megalodon looking down, the giant shark would have blended in with the darkness beneath him, making it impossible to see. If you were looking up, Megalodon would blend into the sky. It is perhaps Mother Nature's most dangerous camouflage. A whale wouldn't know what hit it. Would a boat's crew?
It wouldn't be inconceivable that they could mistake a boat for a whale and attack it from below, attempt to ambush a boat and take a bite out of it. But I think it would soon realize that this was not something that it could consume, and so it would probably abandon that, unless there were people that were falling overboard, in which case it's probably not going to pass up the opportunity to sort of get free food.
The boat probably wouldn't survive, and the impact would be so severe, many of the passengers probably wouldn't survive as well. Even if the Megalodon didn't eat them, the force of the impact may have been fatal to the passengers on the boat.
"16 days later, Drake and his team continue to search for evidence of the existence of Megalodon.
We've got our underwater camera and underwater listening post down now and feeding back 24/7. Now this is just one camera and one listening post in an entire global network.
It's really cool because in addition to the private underwater cameras like the ones that we are using, there are hundreds of underwater cameras that governments have placed all along the sea floor. On top of that, you've got cameras all over the place that scientists like myself have placed down there on various expeditions and outings. And these cameras all are available for ordinary citizens to watch live feeds of what's going on in the depths of the ocean.
Now, these cameras are deployed at places like oil rigs, at other scientific sites. There's a tremendous amount of information there that we've got to troll through. In the process, we've come across a key piece of evidence from a pretty unlikely source.
We were psyched to find out about what a kid in Chile saw 3 years ago on an underwater camera feed that he was busy monitoring. He witnessed something pretty extraordinary, and what he saw is kicking everything that we're doing in South Africa into high gear.
Look, we all know that Megalodon doesn't exist today. There's absolutely no evidence to suggest that this animal could still be in our oceans.
Press play. Okay, pause there. All right, zoom in. Once more. And to the right. I know it's kind of blurry, but look at that. Look at that. That's a fin. As you can imagine, we were eager to determine the size of this thing. We were able to synchronize frames of video, which is a principle originally developed for aerial photography. We could then determine the lengths of the different body parts that we could see, and then off of that, we could get a solid estimate as to the total size of this animal. And Our calculations put this creature at over 62 feet. I understand that this is very hard to believe, but only 100 years ago, a megalodon tooth was discovered and accurately carbon dated to be 10,000 years old. Some may dispute the carbon dating, but if it's correct, that means Megalodon survived long after it was thought to have gone extinct, and it may still be alive today. You have to ask yourself, how else do we explain what's been happening? There are many creatures we thought to have gone extinct much longer than 10,000 years ago that we've discovered in the past 10 years. I believe the question then becomes, why couldn't it have been Megalodon that attacked that whale?
The depths of the world's oceans have provided cover for unknown creatures, as well as creatures who were previously thought to have gone extinct. In the summer of 2012, for the first time, Discovery Channel crews filmed an animal that up until that moment had only been known to us by dead specimens, the giant squid. This fabled sea monster was said to be so terrifying that it would devour not only men, but whales and ships as well. The coelacanth was thought to have gone extinct with the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. And then, in 1938, this living fossil was discovered off the coast of Africa. The mysterious deep-sea creature lives at depths of up to 2,300 feet. The first mega-mouthed shark wasn't discovered until 1976. The creature has now been caught or sighted in more than 11 countries. Then in 2002, the body of a strange-looking whale washed ashore in New Zealand. After DNA analysis, it was determined that this was a pygmy right whale, this living fossil, thought to have gone extinct at least 2 million years ago, the same time Megalodon was thought to have died out. In fact, this whale is a species that Megalodon preyed on. In paleontology, there's a term for creatures that are believed to have died out only to appear again. Lazarus taxon, which refers to the New Testament account of Lazarus rising from the dead. Is it possible that the deepest depths of the ocean have also been hiding a creature the size of Megalodon? Is Megalodon a Lazarus taxon?
Why couldn't it be Megalodon that attacked that fishing boat, that bit the tail off that whale in a single bite, and that appears in this underwater footage?
The underwater footage from Chile confirms that something huge is out there. But what? The photo from the Shark Eye Volunteer shows a massive predator that's nearly identical to the recently uncovered images dating back to World War II. Is it possible that these images prove that Megalodon is in our oceans? Or is it something else? Will compelling new evidence from Brazil prove Drake's theory that Megalodon is still alive today? Days after the mysterious attack and sinking of a fishing boat off the coast of South Africa, renowned marine biologist Colin Drake and his team of ocean specialists have launched a global investigation into the incident with the hope of preventing other similar tragedies. But is Drake's theory correct? Is the deadly predator they're looking for Megalodon, a creature thought to have long been extinct?
Look, I'm not a closed-minded kind of guy. It's a big ocean out there. There's a lot of stuff there that we probably haven't found yet. Look at Colossus squid, found off Antarctica only a couple of years ago, the first live sample. I mean, who would have guessed that that animal was there? So anything's possible. Megalodon being alive today? I don't know.
Megalodon seemingly preferred to feed on large, warm-bodied mammals. We're not finding whale bones today gouged or scarred by Megalodon feeding. I think that's why an extraordinary claim demands extraordinary evidence.
There are only unproven theories about Megalodon's extinction. The first being that Megalodon's extinction was the result of global cooling. As the sea froze over, its metabolism would have increased, forcing Megalodon to consume more to survive. Compounding matters, studies of current shark behavior suggest sharks thrive in warmer climates and become sluggish in cooler waters. If this held true at the time, Megalodon's ability to hunt would have been severely limited. And the second being the increased presence of ice caused sea levels to drop, revealing the Isthmus of Panama. This new land bridge, along with the formation of vast ice and frigid waters at the poles, would have prevented Megalodon from moving between Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, cutting him off from his primary food source, the whales. All experts agree that no theory has been proven, leaving the door open that Megalodon could still exist.
Despite all the theories and skeptics, worldwide events are pointing to a single massive predator, and the evidence says it's right here. I really believe that this predator is alive today. I do. If you look at the Megalodon tooth, it carbon dated to be only 10,000 years old. Considering that, with the evidence that we've collected, it suggests that this monster never went extinct at all, and has just recently traveled into regions of the ocean populated by man. The question is, why now?
Is it possible that this creature has survived in the vast, unexplored ocean? If so, why is its emergence happening now, after all this time? Could climate change be to blame? In 2004, a 9.2 sea quake struck the Indian Ocean.
The quake hit off the coast of Sumatra, reportedly killing scores of people in the province of Aceh.
It gave rise to a tsunami that hit the coastline of southern Asia, killing over 230,000 people, and dramatically altering the topography of the seafloor, pushing regional sea life away and forcing them to find new territories to inhabit.
We are getting word of a powerful earthquake that has hit Japan.
2011's 9.0 earthquake and tsunami in Japan killed nearly 16,000 people and forever changed Japan's coastline. Since the tsunami, there have been abundant accounts of sea life appearing in local waters that up until now had never been documented.
Hurricane Sandy is on track to blast the U.S. so hard.
In October 2012, Superstorm Sandy devastated the mid-Atlantic in the northeastern section of the United States.
This storm is massive, nearly 1,000 miles wide.
The storm surge that Sandy created reshaped coastlines and shifted ocean currents. Since these storms, experts have documented a sharp rise in populations of marine animals migrating into new territories, including humpback whales. Studies showed that the last 2 decades of the 20th century have been the hottest on record in 400 years, and possibly for as long as several millennia. Is it all connected? Could evolving worldwide environmental conditions be impacting the behavior of long-hidden sea creatures?
Sea life has been behaving erratically. We've had a lot of very aggressive marine life behavior documented. We're also seeing marine life traveling to territories they've never gone before, which is why we're seeing so many unusual and rare species wash up on the shores. So, what I'm saying is, we have to be open to any possibility, including Megalodon.
Is Drake making the case for what may be the greatest oceanic discovery of our lifetime? Has climate change pushed the prehistoric Megalodon out of hiding and into populated areas?
If you look at the recent sightings all around the world, along with seismic activity, tsunamis, superstorms, global warming, nothing would surprise me.
Look, I'm still trying to figure out what it is that we're chasing. We've got that witness that saw that attack on a whale with that big fin right behind it. And that was pretty much straight after that fishing boat went down. We've got the whale that washed up in Hawaii without its tail. We've got that kid in Chile who saw the footage on the government camera. And now we've got some new evidence that's come in from the Brazilian Coast Guard. And this footage is pretty amazing.
Havia muito vento, mar agitado, o tempo piorando.
It was windy, choppy seas, and the weather was getting worse. We were focused on getting him up and on the chopper safely so we could get out of there before the wind shifted. It was not an easy rescue. I was having a difficult time holding the chopper in place. We were able to grab him and we were pulling him up. He was about 20 feet out of the water when I saw that there was a huge shadow down there, something immense in the water. That was not a whale, and it was well over 60 feet long. I'll tell you, I thought that guy was lucky before. Now I know he's a whole other kind of lucky.
Outro tipo de sorte.
The aerial footage from the Coast Guard rescue in Brazil is just out of this world. And it got me wondering if there was a pattern to these sightings.
With historic migration changing and populations of whales in places they shouldn't be, the team maps out the 5 incidents that have taken place all over the world over the past 4 years and realize they have striking similarities. Drake theorizes that the location of each incident and the whale migration patterns are connected.
Can you merge the two? Can you lay on top?
The team's analysis of the maps and map overlays show them that whales have been in each location at each event.
Now, every time that we've examined an incident, there's 2 constants in all of these. The first constant is the size of the predator involved. Up until now, video and photograph has only managed to capture parts of the size of this creature, but you don't have to be a scientist to realize that the sum of all of these parts is unlike any other. And the second constant is that every single time that there was an event, humpback whales were in the area. Every single time.
And humpback whales are the primary food source of Megalodon.
The number of events that we're discovering are really starting to add up. We've got all this evidence coming in from cameras and from different sightings around the world. And I've got to tell you, it's pretty damn exciting.
This is a game changer for us. This is the game changer for us. The humpback whales are right here in South Africa right now. They were here when the fishing boat was attacked. They were here when one of them was attacked, and they're still here right now, along with whatever's been following them. the predator has been right below us the whole time.
Drake and the team are convinced that Megalodon is still in the waters of South Africa, and they're prepared to set the world's largest trap for the ocean's biggest predator. Will they become the prey? Colin Drake and his team have come to South Africa to investigate the mysterious sinking of a fishing boat. After 17 days, they've just had a breakthrough that's now taking this from an investigation to a hunt.
Every time that we've examined an incident, there's two constants: the size of the predator involved, and the second constant is that every single time that there was an event, humpback whales were in the area, every single time.
Is there a connection between the giant shark sightings and the humpback whales? Humpback whales worldwide have long followed specific migratory patterns. The mammoth mammals head to cold waters for feeding and to warm waters to give birth. These grueling annual treks are seasonal and cover thousands of miles. This is how it's been since the humpback whales evolved 2 million years ago, when they learned they had to avoid Megalodon by making colder climates their home, which in turn presumed to have resulted in Megalodon's extinction. But now, with temperatures in the world's ocean in flux, salinity levels rising, and food supplies dwindling, humpbacks have been challenged to change where and when they migrate, including around the Isthmus of Panama. They can be found throughout the world. And with the change of migration and water currents and weather in flux, is it possible that evidence of these strange whale occurrences reveal a massive deadly predator re-emerging once again? If so, could it be Megalodon?
The creature is doing today what it did millions of years ago, and what sharks still do today.
Evidence suggests that this animal's got it all figured out. It's intersecting the whales during their migration so it can feed. It's frighteningly logical.
This is a game changer for us. This is the game changer for us.
It makes perfect sense. Drake just joined the dots.
Despite all the theories and skeptics, I think that we're starting to put together a case for Megalodon. And the evidence says it's right here, right under our noses, and we're gonna go get it. The big move now is to get our own proof of its existence. And the next step is to tag it, so we can learn more about it, and follow its movements so that we can stop it before another attack happens. Megalodon has gone from attacking whales to attacking people, and that's a threat to us all. What we are about to do is nothing short of setting the world's largest trap for the world's largest ocean predator.
Drake has invited marine biologist Madeleine Joubert to join his team. For the past 9 years, she's focused her research on sharks and their predatory behavior.
If what Drake says is correct, then this is the biggest predator in the ocean at the moment. And we need to know a lot more about this predator's behavior.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you.
All right, man. You all right?
Well, if Drake is right, then this is all about surprise. And it's not going to be expecting what we bring in.
You guys got everything you need?
Yep, we have. Let's start loading onto the boat, eh?
All right.
Drake is launching an ambitious operation in an effort to protect the people of South Africa and throughout the world. He plans to lure, tag, and ultimately present indisputable evidence to the existence of Megalodon.
Can you give me a hand there? Yeah.
To capture evidence of the largest sea predator in the history of the world requires an operation on a scale which has never been seen.
Based on the destruction of the whale carcass that we had seen that had been attacked by the predator, we know that we're going to need a much, much bigger decoy. So we've decided it's going to be a whale decoy. The goal for this expedition is to find evidence of Megalodon's existence and figure out precisely what's going on. And certainly, if we're able, we aim to tag and track Megalodon, because again, the ultimate goal here is to keep people safe.
The team will be pulling a decoy created to mimic the look and scale of Megalodon's prey, a full-grown adult whale, 50 feet long. To pull this off, Drake has added expert local lifelong fishermen to the team. Their first-hand knowledge of the area will be crucial to attracting the predator.
Well, you see, I'm a third-generation fisherman. I mean, I tell you, I know these waters like the back of my hand.
If Megalodon is hiding down there, I've got just the thing to get its attention.
Chum is a bloody cocktail used by fishermen to attract sharks. 1 gallon of chum can lure as many as 5 to 10 sharks.
Right, it's good to go.
Each blue barrel being loaded onto the boat holds 55 gallons of chum, In the next 6 hours, the team will release over 5,000 gallons of chum into the water. It will no doubt lure every shark in the area, and with luck, will also lure Megalodon to the boat.
You've been the biggest doubter this whole time. Where are you right now?
Well, I've had my doubts about this, but this shark's not behaving like any shark I've ever seen.
The behavior of whatever creature is behind this seems to be operating completely from its own rules.
It's the fact that people aren't even acknowledging the possibility of the predator's existence. That's what's at issue here. I say this predator is behaving quite normally for what this predator is. Megalodon.
There you go. Thomas and I agree with Drake. This is going to be the biggest chum slick ever made, record-breaking stuff.
Once we lay that slick, right, everything's going to be attracted to it.
The team's massive chum slick will span from Hout Bay Harbor all the way to the target area, the location of the boat attack, a distance of 10 miles. As they release all 40,000 pounds of chum into the water, the current will spread the slick an additional 3 to 5 miles, summoning what will likely be the largest congregation of sharks ever recorded.
I can tell you the bonus is it's going to smell like anything. I can't believe it.
Creating chum slick of this big, that much density, you know, in one specific area. You'll come far, but you'll see.
As the hunt for Megalodon begins, the crew lays out its traps.
If we chum, it'll come.
Will the team be ready for what may be waiting for them?
You really are dicing with death.
Under the water. Determined to prove Megalodon is still alive today, Colin Drake and his team have placed an underwater camera just off the coast of South Africa. So far, nothing remotely the size of the nearly 100-foot-long Megalodon has been detected. Now, in a last-ditch effort, Drake has decided to go after Megalodon rather than wait for it to come to him. He plans to lay thousands of gallons of chum into the water in an effort to lure the massive beast.
Think we got enough?
But that's not all. He has also commissioned a full-scale whale decoy to make it irresistible. Will Drake's efforts to lure this massive beast to the surface be successful? It may depend on whether Megalodon can be fooled by the biggest fishing lure ever made.
Drake and his team came to me to build a decoy, and then explained what he was after. Something possibly prehistoric, something colossal, and you can imagine we were amped. We just wanted to get on board. We needed to know more about the creature. He told us that they prey on humpback whales, so it made good sense to build a whale decoy. And as you can see, it was an enormous challenge.
Rob Carlisle is building one of the largest fishing lures in history. It has to be buoyant, towable, and yet able to possibly withstand an attack from an even larger predator.
I took it on as if I was building a yacht. Used the same materials, resin, glass, a lot of timber structure on the inside, a lot of reinforcing. Everything's been sealed. We've got our buoyancy stabilizers in there, so it's ready to go in the water, and it should be tough enough to stand the riggers.
Could it stand an attack?
Whether it'll survive an attack, I'm not sure. I mean, you know, no one really knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, Rob and his team just knocked it out of the park. The whale decoy they made us is amazing.
Look at that. Oh, my God. It's beautiful.
It's going to do the trick.
Let's go have a look.
It's approximately 40 feet long and about 10 feet wide and weighs in at a ton dry.
I mean, you see, this is Mike. Nice to meet you.
Hi, it's my crew.
The genius who made this thing. Wow. Look at the size of it, huh?
It takes on 4 times that amount of weight once it's in the water. So again, that's 40 feet long and about 4 tons of weight in the water. What we're going after, it's big enough to bite that thing in half.
Well, this is great. Rob, it looks incredible. I think we're all excited to go. We're all loaded up, so should we get in the water?
It's game day. A remarkable amount of prep has been done in a very short period of time. I'm confident in this team.
The massive full-size decoy will be towed to open water. 2 15 by 3-foot inflatable pontoons yielding 8,000 pounds of buoyancy will not only hold the 4-ton decoy afloat, but can withstand 23,000 pounds of pressure, pending even the most extreme of attacks.
All right, everybody, we all know what the goal for this expedition is.
Before they leave port, Drake reminds his team of what waits for them out in the deep water.
We're heading out to the exact area where that fishing boat was attacked a week ago.
As he discusses the potential dangers ahead, each member of the expedition is faced with the uncertainty of the risks that may be lurking in the open water.
Yeah, that's it. Safe trip, everybody. All right.
Drake and the entire team are setting sail for a point just beyond where the deadly boat attack took place.
Why couldn't Megalodon exist? It's no secret that recent extraordinary weather events and seismic activity have had an effect on our oceans.
And we've discovered other species we thought had been previously extinct, like the giant squid and the pygmy whale.
The topography of the ocean floor is continuously changing due to natural disasters or oil drilling. And this is throwing up a lot of new discoveries and possibilities for us. And the ocean is huge, and there's a lot out there that we don't know about.
It's estimated that we've explored about 5% of our oceans. In fact, we know so little about the oceans that up until the 70s, scientists thought that it was impossible for life to exist down on the ocean floor. Now, every time divers go down, they discover new species. I mean, anything can hide and grow down there, even something really big. We're getting close to our target area. It's time for Mike and Madeline to get in the water.
Mike and Madeline will get in the water and attempt to tag a great white shark in order to test an ultra-deep water sensor capable of reaching depths over 5,000 feet. And then they will use that shark's movement as a baseline for when they hopefully tag Megalodon. Chum is being added to the water. In minutes, this area will be swarming with great white sharks on the hunt.
Anytime you're diving in open ocean, it's dangerous, let alone when you're in shark-infested waters. And you've got to be super careful. I mean, it's not easy getting in and out of the water, particularly with all that diving gear on.
Well, get the cage up alongside, I'll jump in first. Yeah. And then you jump in, and we'll get someone to pass the tagging pole after that.
And when you're about to get into the cage, you're incredibly vulnerable. And once you're in the cage, you've also got problems there because the cage is getting knocked around from side to side. It's easy to put a leg or a hand out through those bars, and that's all it takes. It takes one mistake and you're in trouble. When you're in that danger zone, when you're on the surface of the water, you're in mid-water, you've got to be really aware of what's going on. You've only maybe got a 15-minute window before any sharks in the area are going to hear the noise of your breathing, hear the noise from the boat, and come over to investigate. And that's provided that there isn't an animal swimming underneath the boat. The moment you jump in, you are part of the food chain.
As Mike and Madeline prepare to descend into the cage, they know that the protection the cage offers may be limited against a shark capable of taking down a boat.
Anytime you dive in shark-infested waters, you really are dicing with death.
All right, this is it, guys. Let's go.
Mike and Madeline are really stepping into it now.
Mike and Madeline will now come face to face with one of Earth's fiercest predators in an effort to tag and track a great white shark, but is something far more dangerous lurking below. "10 miles off the coast of South Africa, Mike and Madeline are entering shark-infested waters to tag a great white in the same area where a deadly attack took down a fishing boat and everyone aboard. This tag will be the baseline test in an effort to track the massive 70-foot predator, Megalodon, that marine biologist Collin believes is responsible for the attack. Every time divers are in these shark-infested waters, there's a chance of being attacked. Even the confines of a cage can't guarantee the diver's safety.
How's our picture up there?
Yeah, copy, Maddie. I'm seeing you're seeing a good picture.
Shark cages are built out of marine-grade aluminum and are welded together with stainless steel to withstand the thrashing of a large, powerful shark. But that's not always the case. There are incidents on record where sharks have both breached and destroyed shark-proof cages. This past March, while cage diving here in Gansby, South Africa, a diver found himself trapped in his own cage when a great white charged an opening and got his head stuck in the cage. As the great white thrashed around, its jaws open wide, the quick-thinking diver narrowly avoided being attacked by ducking beneath the shark's gaping mouth. The diver escaped without injury.
Even though cages provide some protection, we're still cautious because this predator took down a good-sized boat. I'm sure it can rip this cage apart.
We've got some company down here.
They're down there with 4 to 5 whites. This is exactly what we want. Now all they need to do is tag one for us.
We're ready. She's just waiting for a good shot.
Okay. There are a few different ways to tag a shark, depending on what kind of information you want to obtain from the shark, how quickly you want to be able to access that information, and for how long a period of time you want to monitor the shark.
Okay, she's taking the shot.
has successfully planted the tag onto the fin of the great white. The signal generally takes 3 to 10 minutes to activate. All that's left to do is get Mike and Madeline out of the water and see if they have a signal.
Help it down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. You got it? Go. Watch out.
So you got it? We got our baseline?
We have.
All right, awesome. I'm gonna go check upstairs on the monitor, see if we're tracking it.
Okay.
All right, I'll see you. Grab a hot shot.
Yeah. I've just tagged a great white using this kind of a transmitter, and this enables us to see which shark it is exactly and where they are in real time, so we can track them much easier that way. This evening we're hoping to tag a much larger animal. In order to do that, you have to use a much bigger tool. And we're also chumming quite a lot, and we put the whale out, and we're hoping it's going to come.
So far, we're on point. We were able to tag a great white, and we're already tracking it. This white is our baseline shark. Now, the question is, will we even be able to tag Megalodon? And if we do, how will this predator behave?
Now that they have their baseline in place, the team begins making final preparations to lure in Megalodon.
What Mike's got here is it's a hydrophone, and it's pretty standard for emitting sound underwater. And then for this expedition, we got somebody to construct 3 of them. So we got one on either side playing off in different directions, and then we got one that's playing straight down. What we're going after is probably pretty deep underwater, so we want to make sure that he can hear it. Maddie, you want to play us the distressed whale sounds, please?
The team is now ready to start attracting the sharks, and hopefully Megalodon. The distressed whale sounds will help ring the dinner bell for Megalodon. It lets it know that there's an injured and stricken whale in the area. The whale sounds are one signal they use to try and draw Megalodon in. In order to achieve the extensive chum slick the team needs, they've devised homemade cannons to shoot the chum out into the water, spreading more volume over greater distance than any other existing method of chumming. They've labeled these chum guns. They work on compressed air and can spread 5,000 gallons in just over an hour, which is way more than a fisherman could spread by hand. This is well over 500 times more chum than usually used to lure sharks. The goal is to create the biggest chum slick ever.
I'm just mixing a little bit of extra oxalate in here just to make the chum more handleable to put into the gun's barrel, you know. Basically, I would call this power chumming. The captain moves as fast as that cage and the whale lets us go, so that we have one big solid slick.
Power chumming will help the decoy appear to be a real whale bleeding in distress. 2 small passages in the shark's snout can detect even trace amounts of blood in the water miles away and send a signal to its brain that prey is nearby, causing the shark to zero in on its food source and attack. Megalodon would have behaved much the same way. The power chumming will excite and attract bigger sharks, and hopefully Megalodon.
I think we're just about all set. All right, everybody ready? Open there! 3, 2, 1, go! Okay, reload! Awesome!
That's going to do the job. That is seriously going to do the job.
3, 2, 1, go!
The team is using a custom chum recipe that includes tuna, mackerel, whale blubber, scallop guts, clam juice, oil-based fish cat food, menadin oil, and cow blood.
Reload, fellas! 3, 2, 1, go! Ready? Ready?
If you chum, it'll come.
Go!
After 2 hours, the team has created a chum slick spanning nearly 5 miles. It is the largest ever created. The first round of chumming is complete.
Hey guys, here's stand by and get lifted off anchor. Thank you.
Now, we cut the engines. And wait.
Drake and the team have put themselves in an incredibly dangerous situation. The chum, whale decoy, and distress calls will bring more sharks to the boat than they can imagine. But will the one shark they're looking for show up with them? And if he does, will they be ready? After 2 hours, the team has created a chum slick spanning nearly 5 miles. It is the largest ever created.
Ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Ready? Go!
Now with the trap set, Drake must ignore the fact that their boat is near the coordinates of the downed fishing vessel 18 days prior.
None of us knows for sure what's going to happen. The answer is out there.
Hey, Drake, our shark's back. Yeah. It's 110 degrees, so pretty much off the port stern, about 800 meters out.
The team is tracking their baseline shark in real time, which is closing in on the boat. The tag is working properly.
Yeah, I'm glad he likes the cocktail. Yeah. What depth you got there? 100 feet. 100 feet? All right, so he's just comfortable behind us. All right.
But their baseline shark is not alone.
Hey, mate, come have a look here, buddy. We got a lot of activity, man. 35? That's a lot of sharks. 35, yeah. Yeah, I know. We've got it. On the sound here. Yeah, let's go. I want to go check it out. Come on.
The sharks have finally converged on the area in droves, attracted by the enormous chum slick. With nearly 40,000 pounds of chum already released into the water, the feeding frenzy could last all night.
See that bigger one coming in there?
Yeah.
The other sharks
They kind of move working there.
It's a lot of sharks.
Yeah, it's a lot of sharks. Well, that's what we wanted.
Yeah, it is. Chum sweep.
Yeah.
Chum sweep.
Yeah, totally.
Now we're just going to, hopefully, see what comes next.
The shark activity is at a frenzy, but the giant predator, the one that could be 10 times the size of any one of these sharks circling our whale, it hasn't arrived yet. And that's when I saw it.
Hey, guys are gone. All of them gone. Really? Yeah, there's nothing here on the monitor. Come have a look quickly.
All of the fish in our sonar disappeared. Now, you'll often find groups of sharks swimming together, but they'll be within a similar size category, and they'll be familiar with one another. When a bigger predator arrives, these smaller sharks will often leave the area because sharks are predatory on one another as well. So a bigger shark will hunt and eat smaller sharks. Quickly.
That means what they've been searching for all along could be out there. They've got to get into the water to find out.
Get over here! Put down. Just, let's go. Watch that. Right, no window. Right. Slow and steady. There you go. All right, thank you. All right. All right, guys, go. Let's go check.
What you are witnessing are the actual events as they unfolded. These images were filmed by Discovery Channel's crew on the night of April 23rd, 2013. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, you guys get the camera hooked up? I got no picture back here.
whale hit us from behind, and suddenly it's up against the cage. Something's pushed it right up against the cage.
At the same time, I saw a big shadow behind me, and the cage started shaking like crazy, so I aimed the spear gun and shot.
Maddie! Mike, come in, can you guys hear me?
Couldn't see anything, it was just pitch black. And next thing after that, the cage gets hit, and I mean gets slammed. We are upside down, we are cartwheeling through the water.
What the hell's going on back here?
The cage is gone.
You guys see him?
The whole cage is
The
gone.
cage is gone?
The whale's gone. There's nothing there. I told you, man, everything's gone. It was there 1 second, and the next second it's gone.
Mike! Maddie!
Move that light, Thomas. Look around, man.
Maddie!
Hey, Thomas.
You see her?
Check out to the boat side, Thomas.
I don't see anything. She's there. Get the boat over there. Maddie, hang on.
I don't actually remember how I got to the surface.
To hear the sound of that Zodiac and the motor coming towards me, and then to see Maddie in there as well, that was a pretty daunting experience. Putting my feet on the dry deck of that boat, I tell you what, big relief, big relief.
Get back to the boat.
We got lucky. I wasn't sure if they were going to make it out of the water. Mike was able to hold on to his camera, but we're not sure if Madeline got off a good shot or not.
See what we got. Well, there's Maddie reaching out now, taking a shot. Okay.
So we get them back on the boat. Now we've got the camera, and we're looking at the footage. And it's dark and it's murky, and we can't exactly see what's going on. What looks like a big shape kind of moves quite fast past, but we don't know exactly what it is.
But that looks like the dorsal fin up there, and there's the shot right there.
And then the captain shouts out that we've got a signal.
It's just black.
Hey, we got a signal!
We got a signal, let's go.
Look how fast it's diving. That's deep.
No, 5,500 feet is still diving.
That is a ridiculous dive.
Bloody hell, look at that thing go, eh?
6,000. 6,300.
You know, looking down, seeing the sonar, seeing that animal diving to the depth that it was going down. Never seen anything like that. Nothing like that. I mean, even our deepest diving sharks, like blue sharks, we've only seen them dive to over 3,000 feet. This was going 3,000, 4,000, you know, right up to 6,000 feet. Certainly not behaving like any shark I've ever seen.
Still going, 6,400.
We're going to lose it, eh?
Yeah.
That's our boy, right?
Yeah, it is. So
It was awesome to watch. We'd never seen anything move that fast, that deep before.
yeah, 6,500.
Jeez, that's deep.
I believe that we just encountered Megalodon. I'm usually the first guy to get called when something strange is happening out in the seas. The impact of the vessel is massive. It's much more substantial than I thought it would be, which is why they called me in as quickly as they did. You see, whales, in the rare instances they have collided with boats, end up reaching on top of the boat. But after looking at the search and recovery footage, it's clear the vessel was rammed from underneath.
So this wasn't a whale?
No, absolutely not. Working with the audio from the camera recovered in the wreckage, you can hear the panic in their voices. It sounds to me like whatever did attack their boat did so intentionally, which is further evidence this was no whale. And when the audio is cleaned up, what you hear is chilling.
Could it have been a great white?
Not your typical great white, no.
Then what is it?
I think that whatever did this is a very large predator, maybe even larger than anything we've ever seen in our lifetime before.
Over a 1-month period in April of 2013, Discovery Channel cameras had exclusive access to Colin Drake and his team. What starts as an investigation,
we're desperately searching any and all incidents around the world,
becomes Drake's hunt for a monster.
Then this is the biggest predator in the ocean.
And we're gonna go get it.
Setting the world's largest trap.
This is going to be the biggest chump slick ever made.
For the ocean's largest predator.
That thing.
The following program contains graphic images. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, so it's Friday, and we're out fishing in Howe Bay, and we're going to get big fish. I'm going to go find them all. Where are you guys? I'm going to feel like I've had a bottle of champagne. There we go. Oh, that's beautiful. It's incredible. Okay, you got something? I think I got something. What? Have you? Yeah. An old bait, a bait. Yeah.
This is a big one.
Ago, I had gone out on a night surf session with a friend of mine, and he brought out his jet ski, and it was about twilight. It's not the safest time to be in the water, but around that time the waves are really amazing. I remember I'd gone out pretty far, and that's when I saw the fin, and I saw it start coming towards me. This thing was like 3 times the size of this jet ski. Somehow, I guess the engine managed to scare it off. As he pulled away, I felt my leg go with him, and it was that point that I realized that my leg was gone. I'd always heard all these stories about this big thing that's in the water, you know, ever since I started surfing, and everybody was like, submarine, it's submarine, and I never really paid attention to any of that. I was really lucky that I had somebody else there, and I was very lucky that he was able to respond and come out to me.
It was the spring of 2007, and we were out in False Bay fishing for yellowfin tuna in a 32-foot boat. We'd been yellowfin around all day. Suddenly the fish just sounded, disappeared. So we did what we always do. Put a chum in the water, munch sardine and a bit of blood, bring them back up on the bite. The biggest white shark I'd ever seen in my life appeared next to the boat. Matched us in size easily. You know, I'd heard these stories about a huge white shark they call a submarine in False Bay. But honestly, I never believed them. Bloody shark followed us. Right, Pop?
A day of deep-sea fishing on a charter vessel turned into terror on the high seas off the coast of Cape Town.
Our feeling at this time is that a whale breached and inadvertently took the boat down. The operator put the vessel into close proximity of mating whales.
Following the incident, a search and recovery effort was launched. Initially, it was believed that the only creature large enough to down the fishing vessel would be a whale breaching over the top of the boat. But the wreckage suggested otherwise. What the South African officials discovered was unexpected. It appeared the boat was not capsized by a whale, as believed. Footage from a recovered camera further suggests the boat was downed by something other than a whale. Now, South African officials have brought in an expert to determine what could have killed the people on that boat.
This is a big boy.
I'm a marine biologist with a focus on sharks. I often get called in when strange events have happened in the ocean, even when that event's very hard to describe. The long story short of it is, has been right below us the whole time.
Get over here! No!
Events captured on tape are being shown on television
The hell is Mike?
for the first time.
What is your objective?
The South African officials are extremely concerned about public safety. My goal in this investigation is simple. I need to determine exactly what it was that downed that fishing vessel, but also prevent another attack from occurring. There's a deadly predator in these waters, and I have to find it before it kills again.
Between April and September, the waters off Cape Town become home to the greatest concentration of great white sharks in the world. They are drawn here to eat.
As many as 98 species of sharks can be found here. You've got great whites, you've got whale sharks, spotted ragged-tooths, tiger sharks, and the fabled submarine. Submarine is a 30-foot-plus great white that the locals say has been swimming in these waters for over 70 years now.
To date, the largest great white ever recorded measured 23 feet long. But for years, there have been accounts of a giant great white shark known as submarine, nicknamed for its size. If the shark is real, then it would be the largest great white shark in the world today. Submarine could be over 30 feet long and weigh over a ton more than the average great white shark, making it freakishly large and likely the most lethal creature in the oceans.
It's a constant part of the conversation here, and it's most frequently spotted this time of year.